Hey everyone, and welcome to this webinar of me and Johan Hellman. It's crazy. We actually have a new record today of almost 150 people signed up to this webinar. So in nShift, it's actually an all-time record of participants in a webinar. Before we introduce ourselves here, me and Johan, I'm gonna do the introduction a little bit what we're gonna talk about here today. So we have 30 minutes where we're going to talk about commerce and logistics trends of 2025, which is going to be super exciting. We have three topics that we're going to touch. So it's going to be unified commerce, it's going to be social commerce, and also sustainable shopping. And I actually learned a fun thing when I jumped into this webinar. Actually, one thought came to mind. I remember when I went to university, one professor, I think it was in statistics or it was in business intelligence, he told the entire class that look out for people trying to predict the future. There are pure morons, actually. So here we are, Johan, trying to predict the future, which would be quite nice. To keep this, it's going to be quite interactive section webinar. So we're going to do some polls throughout the webinar. But let's kick off with an easy task for everyone joining in. So you have a chat option in Zoom. So everyone, right where they sit right now, not the actual like basement or like office, right in the city you're sitting to kick it off because we have people throughout entire Europe. And then I'll start introducing Johan at the same time. So Johan Hellman, our VP of product here, joining in and joining me here in this webinar. He's a really seasoned product guy. I would say he knows what he doesn't know. It's not worth knowing in the world of supply chain. He's a really good skier, downhill skier. And this guy also, just to put it in perspective, all other normal people buy kitchen from IKEA. This guy actually builds from scratch himself, buying the wood, everything, and at the same time actually being a present father. I mean, that's actually crazy. And if you want to know anything about like product development, Johan is a really good guy to follow on LinkedIn. So that's Johan, people.
Thank you, Kalle, for those nice words. So Carl here, Kalle, you might know him already as a LinkedIn marketing wizard. And I think you're proving, Kalle, that posting stuff that's actually interesting is pretty good for engagement on social media. So I think that's a good learning. I've been working with Kalle quite some time, and I think he's a really multi-skilled person. He joined the nShift in product, moved into sales, and almost in marketing now. And well, as of today, also a predictor of the future, which, yeah, I'm not going to say more about that then based on your comment, Kalle. Kalle is actually, I would say, a better skier than I am. But it's also the reason why when I looked at my Spotify Wrapped recently, I found out that I had more than 10,000 minutes on pods this year. And I must say, that's probably my best life or maybe at least career hack to date, listening to interesting pods. But let's kick it off, Kalle. What do you think about unified commerce?
Okay, let's go. So let's start by defining these things. I mean, unified commerce is a quite buzzy theme, I would say. So let's start by defining what it is, and I'll take from my perspective here. So I would say it's almost like taking from a perspective of an actual buyer online. So I would say it's a shopping experience that feels the same whether you're like actually buying it online or in a store or you're on your phone. I mean, the context can be different here. But everything just works together seamlessly. So I think everyone like has a picture now in your heads, like, okay, it's you're buying something from someone, and throughout that journey you go through, that company follows you in a nice way to actually give you the comfort that I'm actually buying the right thing here. And why do I think this actually is a trend for our industry, where we will see major steps during 2025? I think it's a few things, but mainly to make this happen, for me, I would say it's not like one provider being able to do this for all commerce, I mean, globally, to provide like a big monolith or similar. I would say it's actually a combination of a lot of different service providers being able to come together to be able to, in a nice way, be able to provide that type of experience for buyers online. So I think in a good way, I mean, we can go back to the company we come from, Johan, and represent here. So for nShift, we know our play in the ecosystem of commerce. I mean, we are the global leaders in delivery management, and I think our role in that journey or that ecosystem I just explained, we know that it's connected to the industry that it's connected to delivery management. So our role there is to actually being able to share that data, being able to have like great API infrastructure and be able to like to help out and provide a really good customer journey. And I mean, Johan, I have a question for you on that journey. Have you, as of today, actually had a purchase journey like that?
Well, I think maybe that if it's a good experience, you don't really notice it. I think I can think of bad experiences like this. Like for example, maybe people can relate. Like when you go online and you buy something, you already bought it, like like a new screwdriver to build another kitchen maybe, and then what happens is like my browser then explodes and it's just screwdrivers everywhere. Wherever I go on the internet, I have screwdrivers, but I already bought the screwdriver. So it's kind of like someone is obviously tracking me, but the message a little bit, it's a little bit late. So no, not really. I don't think I've seen a really good example, but
Yeah.
maybe I haven't noticed.
Yeah. I think it's a good comment actually. I think one thing, I mean, for me at least, when we started reading about this before the webinar, I think one thing we see, of course, and it might seem a little bit buzzy, but the development of AI right now, I think actually will have a contribution of this as well, and especially maybe the agentic side of it, like the agents. So I think that could be something for the people looking to hear actually to have more read about afterwards. Because again, it boils down to the data you have at hand, and in a good way, I mean, AI is really good at actually making sense of all that data and keeping track of it, and maybe that can help more to push for this like more advanced use journey, I would say. So I think that's like, again, to sum up, an unified customer journey for the buyer. It's not about like a big vendor like solving all this problem. I think it's a joint combination between different service providers, like I said, the example with nShift. And I think AI will have a major impact of this during 2025. So I think, Johan, do you agree with this?
No.
Great.
Well, I think taking the contrary position here, I mean, in a way, it sounds a bit like something a consultant made up, right? It's a little bit, I have something to sell. I have this IT project. I will just integrate all your systems and it will be amazing. So I wonder if it's maybe a little bit driven from the supply side more than the demand side. That, I mean, will this actually work and give value, or will it just be, very expensive integration project? So that would be one concern, sort of doing this, that would actually work. I would also argue that maybe it's quite close to omnichannel. I mean, because what you described, Kalle, I guess, does sound a bit like omnichannel. Sure, there's more, but kind of like an incremental step, maybe that it's slightly better than omnichannel. But is it really a revolution? Is it something completely new? I'm not sure. And then maybe my last sort of concern would be about, or maybe, yeah, when the whole privacy angle, like I mean, there are of course other forces in play trying to safeguard the personal integrity of people. Well, we all know that if people are asked to share their their data for a voucher, they'll happily do so. But there are also other people or other companies and of course authorities clamping down a bit on data sharing and privacy. So I think, yeah, I mean, it might be hard to do it in practice. But I don't know. We shouldn't be the judges, I think. So let's do a quick poll here and see what you think in the audience. So you will be able to answer this question if you think it's a trend or not, and we'll come back to the result later. But while you contemplate if unified commerce is a trend or not, I'll move on. So the next trend we're looking at is something called social shopping. So what's that? Well, let's start with the social part. So social media, I think we all know about. I mean, Kalle, you're obviously on LinkedIn. Do you have any other social medias?
A bad example. Absolutely nothing. I stopped using social media, I would say 4 or 5 years ago. So yeah, only LinkedIn at this stage.
Okay, so this might be a short debate then, but let's try anyway. Social shopping, that's shopping on a social media platform. And ideally, end-to-end inside the social media shop platform. So you start in the discovery phase and you stay inside the platform throughout the whole experience until you do the checkout. But I mean, we already have e-com, right? E-com has been around for 20 years. So why do we need social shopping? And what's the difference? And when I think about a web shop, a traditional web shop, it's typically a product image on a page with some text, maybe a couple of images, maybe even a video or something. But it's not fundamentally different from a paper catalog that you would, get to your mailbox back in the day, which I think is perfectly fine, especially if you're out, shopping to feel a need, like you have like a utilitarian approach to shopping. I need a new pair of sneakers. I go to a web shop selling sneakers. I look for the right kind and I buy them. So I really fill my need. I think that's why e-com is strong. Social social shopping. I mean, that's entertainment. That's shopping because it's fun. I think it's the online version of going to the mall or to the sort of city center where you live with your friends, hanging out for a day, having some ice cream, going to stores, maybe buy something, but the actual buying is just a smaller part of a bigger experience. So you really want to indulge yourself in the shopping experience, hanging out at the mall, essentially. I think that's kind of what social shopping sort of can be compared to. And it's not necessarily new. It's been around for a while. I think Facebook Marketplace is a very common example, starting out a bit like a C2C, consumer to consumer platform, selling stuff to your neighbors. But these days, it's possible to have a storefront on Facebook for a business and selling very similar approach as a web shop. Of course, YouTube, it's huge on YouTube selling on top of videos. There you have Instagram. A lot of Instagram shopping is influencer driven. Like you will have this the paid partnerships with brands and retailers, and you will have a link in the bio and different sort of referrals and kickback schemes there in the background. And I'm talking about videos, by the way. I mean, you would have shoppable videos. You can have multiple call to actions throughout the video, so that as you watch it, you get multiple opportunities to buy something. I think all this is fine, and it's huge. I mean, it's a huge business already. But I think the thing that's really about to take off, it's live shopping. And live shopping, especially then on TikTok. TikTok, they launched something called TikTok Shop back in 2023, which is, I mean, TikTok being a sort of video first social media, it's quite natural then that the shopping experience is also video first and even live. So basically what that is, that you have a live stream where you sell stuff. So I guess you can think of it like a modern day version of teleshopping. So you have someone really good salesperson, like, really like someone who could sell anything to anyone on screen, promoting products. The difference from teleshopping is that it's much less produced. It's like handhold on the phone kind of an experience, much more intimate, like more like a one-to-one almost. Even if, of course, in the TikTok room you will have more people, but it's a more intimate setting, but it seems to work really well, and it seems to, well, it is taking off. So maybe if I ask you a quick question, Kalle, what do you think? Which is what kind of products are the most common to be sold on TikTok shop right now?
It's gonna be a wild guess from my end, but let's say I'll say cosmetics.
You would guess, right? And that kind of, I think it's huge. I mean, cosmetics is a big thing. People, many times women, trying on testing cosmetics and selling at the same time. But actually, it's apparel and fashion. So, for example, secondhand bags, like really expensive brand bags, can be sort of an example of what's been sold. So it's not just low value items. It can be very, very sort of high value items. And looking a little bit where this trend comes from, which is Asia, there you would find examples of people selling even cars on live streams. I think we're not there yet in Europe, but it's picking up. And I have another question for you, Kalle. Can you guess which country has the biggest take up or biggest percentage of people actually already doing live shopping? in Europe?
I'll say, I see we have a lot of people from Netherlands, so I'll go for that. Netherlands.
Might have thought, but it's actually Denmark. Interesting enough, Denmark leads. Finland is the with the least share, at least on my list. And also very close to Norway. So Norway and Denmark are on different sides of the scale. I'm not sure why exactly. But going back to the trend and why I think it's a trend. So I think live shopping is already improving in Asia. A lot of social media trends come from Asia, so no reason why this wouldn't follow the same path. It's entertainment. I mean, it's really fun. People obviously love social media. They love TikTok, so why wouldn't they love this? But as a product person, I also find it interesting that what TikTok did here with TikTok Shop is that they built a whole product for selling. So it's not only about showing the products on the screen, it's also sorry, it's also fulfillment. So you can actually fulfill, even ship from inside TikTok Shop. They have only a few carriers, so I think, Kalle, maybe you need to talk to them about Go API, but you know, it's there. It's a full product. I think it's fascinating. So yeah, watch out for live shopping.
Cool. So let's see. I don't agree on this at all, Johan. So I'll have, well, I agree a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be a major trend 2025. And I think I have three reasons mainly for it. I think, and maybe this is me, because your first question to me, like, do you actually spend time on social media? And I was a big no on that. But I think, I don't know if people actually want to buy stuff online. I think it's more for the product discovery. Like I'm looking for a pair of new skis or like a new jacket. I do discover there. I 100% agree on that. But the actual buying, so the conversion, I don't think that happens on social, or it's going to increase at least. I know it happens, but I don't think it's going to increase. The second thing, to back a little bit, I mean, there's been major social platforms trying this. Like look at Meta, for example, that has huge customer user bases. And I think we haven't seen that picking up that much on their end either. And then last, I mean, and this is one of the things why I'm not actually promoting social media much, is just the growing concerns we see like with people's health, privacy, stuff like general like social media fatigue. If you look like what Australia is now doing, I think that also might hinder this trend a little bit. So I would say those are three counter arguments on what you just went through. But hey, we're not here to decide you one. We're just debating. So again, let's do a quick poll and jump whilst we jump into the next and last trend. Whilst I'm doing that, let's see if we have the poll up. Yes, that's good. Okay, cool. So let's jump into sustainable shipping. This is the last one we're going to go through.
Shopping, right?
Sorry?
Sustainable shopping.
Yeah, not shipping. Sorry, it could be shipping. Sustainable shopping. So let's start by defining it as well, because that's a broad topic. So I would say this is my personal, I mean, definition of this. So I would say this is consumers, someone like buying something, actually making choices that actually helps and not harm our planet and like the people on the planet. So I think that's the core of it. And why I actually think will take huge steps during 2025. And I mean, again, I mean, it's not that it's many things now showing the opposite. I mean, people are buying low cost stuff, a lot of it in large amounts right now. I mean, but I have hope for humanity in general. But I think why this will take huge steps during 2025, I think it's in many cases or in many verticals, sustainability is actually becoming a little bit the norm. And I can take like a personal, I mean, even if you rarely should do that, I can take a personal example. So like I have kids now that grown up a little bit, not old, but they're actually not small anymore either. And I think we never bought like new clothes at all for them. So we just bought like reused clothes, like used clothes from others, like peer-to-peer stuff or C2C stuff. And I think that could be like a good example of like verticals where it actually becomes the norm. And I think as a merchant or like a platform builder or like even a carrier here, we have all of those here in the call today. I think that's the thing with this sustainability trend is that it's so many different examples that exist. But I think the goal is the same, is that as little impact or footprint as possible, but trying to like prolong that lifetime value. One example could be like sell it many more times, like a garment. And if you take a few of those examples, I just said one like C2C marketplaces, we see that out there, they're growing more and more. and they're quite nice. I mean, Facebook Marketplace could be one example that everyone knows now when we are having people all over Europe, even the world here. You have another thing that could be one thing is actually companies that offer lifetime repair. So I actually have a shirt on me now on a Norwegian company. It's called Norrøna. So what they do is actually do ski clothes, like climbing clothes, but they offer like lifetime repair. So you're actually stuck with the t-shirt or like the jacket you have for a very long time, which is very nice. I know they did this before. I actually don't know if they do this anymore, but it could be like a good example. You have companies that actually buy back stuff. So they buy back their own the stuff they actually produce, and they reproduce things about them. Like maybe they make new clothes, or they have like an outlet, or maybe they have their own C2C marketplace. Or you have marketplaces that collect, they price them, and then they sell, and you get the kickback back as the person actually sending it in. So I mean, there's a lot of stuff and examples out there. Some are not the norm, I would say, in some verticals. Others are actually growing and becoming the norm. And I think that's why it's becoming a trend. And hopefully, I mean, I hope people actually respect that and start buying stuff from these kind of examples. So I mean, Johan, do we miss any? There's probably hundreds more examples of this, but am I missing any like major ones here?
Well, I think there's one that I've used myself. You could call it like a third-party B2C player. So someone actually doing the second round on someone else's product. So I'm thinking specifically about a company called Swappy. And they're selling refurbished iPhones. That's basically all they do. But I mean, like having two daughters, they want to have new iPhones. But I think new iPhone is a little bit too expensive for them since they might lose them or break them. But buying from Swap is super nice. So you can decide what level of which condition you want to have, exactly which model, and it comes even in a new box. It's a nice experience, but it's a refurbished phone that gets a second life, which I think is excellent. So I think that's maybe one category to add to your list, Kalle.
Yeah, that's a really good one, actually. So it's a really good one. And I think one thought actually that I think is nice to think about, I mean, if you come back to the shipping piece to this, is that, I mean, there's truth on sustainability that when you sell like a new t-shirt, I mean, the production, like actually making that t-shirt has the highest or largest footprint. And the shipping piece is minor. I mean, we're talking single digit like percentages here. But actually, if you look at the C2C marketplace, and this is a good consideration if you're like a platform or like a merchant or even a carrier, is that the impact on the shipping, because you don't produce the garment anymore, it's already produced, but the shipping decision is key. That becomes like the larger part of that impact. So right now, I would argue many of these C2C marketplaces have quite standard like actually shipping methods or delivery options. So that could also be a fun thing to consider, like actually that has a huge impact on the total like impact of that purchase. So to sum it up a little bit, I think on this trend, why it's going to be a major impact 2025 is that I think more and more of these examples are going to become the norm. And I have high hopes for humanity that we're going to actually step up and make good on 2025. Yeah, and that's it, I guess. So Johan, do you agree with this?
No, I have more realistic expectations on the humanity, perhaps, but no, I'm a bit critical or skeptical to this, and I think again, kind of like what I said before, I think a lot of brands they want this to work because it kind of solves an impossible equation for them. They want to sell more, but they don't want to, have a bigger impact. They don't want to produce more. They want to sell more, but they don't want to produce more. And how do you solve that if you're a seller of physical goods? Well, of course, selling them many times makes perfect sense. But as a retailer, how do you compete with the C2C space? Of course, I mean, part of it. But like if you want to resell your own items, again, you somehow have to get them back, and you have to make this sort of fly from a business point of view. So I think that's one concern I would have, that how do you actually make this into good business as a brand? I think shipping is a factor. I mean, you mentioned it, Kalle. I mean, it takes over. There are some initiatives out there with sort of more sustainable shipping, but of course, if this becomes, too much shipping and not enough use of sustainable shipping options, kind of miss the point. So I think that's also a risk. If you start shipping stuff back and forth across the whole world, there will be a problem. basically, if you don't have sustainable enough shipping. And then another sort of maybe more general comment is like, we tend to call things sustainable until they're just business. So maybe, the secondhand market will happen, but I think it needs to happen because it's actually good business. It's not because it's sustainable, because the subset of the market that is prepared to pay extra just to be sustainable, I don't think there are enough people out there. I think there are many people that just want, they prioritize other things. So for this to really take off, it has to be, I think, good business ultimately, and not just sustainable business.
Yeah.
So those are my 5 cents. But yeah, let's do the last final poll.
Cool. So whilst you answer this, those were the three trends that me and Johan went through today. I hope it was interesting in that sense. Let's now actually summarize what you thought. Let's see how we did, Johan. If we managed to convince, and who actually won between us, I would say. Let's put it like that. So let's go to unified commerce. So 69% of you actually think this will be like a major trend 2025. And 31 then, of course, doesn't think it's going to be a major trend. So 1-0 to me, Johan. That's nice.
Good work.
Yeah. Or number 2 then, social shopping. We have 67% think it's going to be a major trend 2025, and 33% actually don't believe in it. So that's 1-1. I see a trend there now, Johan. The 1% thing is actually the one getting a point. Let's see how we did on the last one. Yeah, and I can say we keep in the trend. So on the sustainable shopping, we had 64% actually think it's going to be a major trend, and 36 no, it's not going to take any steps 2025. So I mean, you all think in general that all 3 trends that we presented today will take major steps during 2025. So I mean, hey, that's actually good stuff. So that should be valuable information from what we talked about here today.
It would be interesting to know if it's the same people always being,
Yeah,
the trends, and the same people being critical. But maybe we can dig out that data somewhere. I don't know, but
yeah,
it's not a super clear signal, I guess, Kalle. I mean, it's a little bit 2/3 pro, 1/3 against.
yeah. No, I agree. So to round stuff up, I think so all of you participating here today, you will get the webinar, of course, or the recording, so you can look afterwards. You will also get the white paper. We have a white paper that nShift has produced on this topic, so you will get that as well. Myself and Johan, as we said in the beginning, we're quite active on LinkedIn. So I mean, jump in there, follow us if you want to know more about like shipping in general, product development, or like random stuff. We're quite active. So you can look in there, and we will actually do a post afterwards about this webinar. And I mean, happy to get feedback openly. You can just write in there like, actually this sucked, or Carl, you talk too fast. Johan, you're a very smart guy. Stuff like that we like. So I mean, put comments like that on the LinkedIn post. And actually, it's a true social media guy, I guess. I'm just gonna take a quick photo so we know, and you can say you actually were there. Like that, boom. And based on that, I say thank you everyone for joining, and we'll get 2 minutes before we're actually gonna end. So have a great rest of the day, and thanks Johan for the discussions.
Thank you, Kalle, and thank you everyone for joining.
Yeah. Bye bye.